Good morning, my fellow YouTubers. So this is part 2 of our video series. In part 1 is when we acquired an old AEH Wisconsin engine for a project that we got coming up. And so what we'll be doing today is going ahead and working on the carburetor, go ahead and get that rebuilt. And we might actually get to a chance to where we can crank it over and see if it'll run. So I wanted to take you and show you what we're planning on putting this engine in. It is a piece of equipment that we have acquired, and I'm going to go ahead and get going and restore now. So let me go ahead and come on down here and we'll take a look at it here. Alright, so this is an old Gibson Garden Tractor. If I had to give it a rough age, I would say late 40s, early 50s, so probably around 48 would be my guess. So I acquired this summer, fall, and needed an engine. So I now have an engine, and this is what we'll be putting it on. So this will be a fun little project. So a couple things we'll be doing. Obviously it's going to need tires all the way around. That'll be one of the last things. The process for this. So we have the engine. We're going to see if we can get the engine running. If we get it running and everything, we'll probably go ahead and take the engine apart and go ahead and restore it and have it set aside in the shop somewhere, protecting it. Then we'll go ahead and move this up to the shop. We'll probably go ahead and take the blade and the tiller or the spring tooth off the back, and we'll just set those aside. We'll restore those last. This thing has some added things that need to be cut off. For example, like the engine mount, this is not right, so we'll be taking that off and getting it back down to the frame. As well as this right here, somebody put throttle on it, so we'll take that off. We'll go ahead and, take the wheels off of this thing, set them aside, get the frame right, get it all restored, get the engine mounted back up on it, and then see if it, get it all running and everything. And then we'll worry about the wheels. So, kind of exciting. So, a few things that I've noticed with this one. I'm a little bit unsure of the rear end, and maybe somebody out there, if they're a Gibson fan, can help me with this. So most Gibsons across the back axle actually have Gibson written on it, and this one does not. So I'm kind of up in the air as to if this is an actual original rear end. It looks like it, but maybe somebody can guide me on that one. So anyways, hope you look forward to this project. And I'm going to go ahead and go back in the shop where it's nice and warm, and we'll start in on the engine. Alright, so continuing on here, we did go ahead, we got the engine sitting here. We got the carburetor tore apart. Where we ended, let's see. So I ended up soaking the carburetor overnight in some diesel. I just have the carburetor bolt pieces, the main structure of the carburetor down inside there. This, if anything, just to get passages and stuff cleaned up. And then here's all the little pieces. So what we'll be doing today is going ahead and using my ultrasonic cleaner. Now this is a little one. I wish I had a bigger one. I bought this thing because I was really skeptical about ultrasonic cleaners from the get-go, and come to find out, I love this thing. I use it all the time. Use it for my glasses, keys, parts cleaning for carburetors. So I'll be getting a bigger one. So that's where we're at. We're gonna get a carburetor hopefully cleaned up today, all the little parts, and then I will need to make a gasket, so we'll go ahead and show you how I make gaskets. So that's where we're at. Now the ultrasonic cleaner, we'll go ahead and step in there. So typically there's the compound here, and I believe I got this from Harbor Freight, and it works good. I have experimented with other things, such as baking soda, also works good. And then also OxyClean. I think OxyClean works really well as well. So, process is pretty simple. You got your container here. Works best if you fill it full of warm water, hot water preferably, not scorching hot, but the warmer, it seems like it activates this stuff better. And then you put very little stuff in. I don't even know if this says how much to put in. I can kind of take a look and see directions. Let's see. 1/4 of a teaspoon cleaning powder. So I usually just sprinkle it across the parts in there, and that seems to be just fine. I don't think there's anything too much, too little. I imagine if it's too much, it would just clunk around and make a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up to do that. And then for the bigger parts that obviously won't fit in there, like I said, I've got them soaking in diesel. I'm just going to pull out a pan and pull them out and put some diesel in and use the wire brush and clean them up and stuff. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll go ahead and get set up and do that. So I went ahead and added some hot water to my ultrasonic cleaner, and chemical wise, let's go ahead and start with some OxyClean. Look at really see how well this one does. I don't know that I've used OxyClean from the get-go on carburetor parts. So let's just go ahead and kind of across the bottom. Alright. And we'll go ahead and set parts in. Now there is a parts basket, so that makes it nice. Just go ahead and drop some bolts down in there. Okay. Yeah, let's go with that. We'll go with that one. Let's go with the nose. And how about that? Let's go ahead and start there. Why not? Let's go one more. Let's go and get the T. And set them down in there. And this one has 480 seconds. Boink. On. So we'll go ahead and let that do its magic, and we'll go ahead and get set up to wash the big parts. Alright, for the larger parts, I'm just going to go ahead and use this little tub here, and we'll go ahead and probably just move all this over into the tub. Yeah, so there's the base. Yeah, it's looking really good. Go ahead and do that. Well, that's probably enough fluid. Alright, so we'll go ahead and let that soak for just a little bit more. Okay, so our ultrasonic cleaner is doing its job. I've got it on third or fourth cycle. Definitely it looks like it's working. So we'll go ahead and work on this. All I'm going to do is just use a parts brush and just kind of wipe stuff around. Yeah, let's kind of get the grime and stuff off this before we get serious. Okay. Top part of it here. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Cool, I'm going to go ahead and put some gloves on because my hands are burning again. Go ahead and pop it open here. Look at that. Dirty water. Let's go ahead and remove the basket. You can see the parts looking a lot better. What I'm going to go ahead and do is use a brush on these parts, kind of clean them up a little bit. We'll reset the water and go ahead and try another batch. I think the next batch we'll go ahead and do baking soda, just so we can see the difference. This one we did OxyClean. Alright, so I've reloaded this thing with fresh water. Go ahead and put a little baking soda in it. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and set our basket back down there. Set it to 480 seconds, and we'll let it do its deal. And I'll bring you guys back when it's done, and we'll take a look and see how well it's done. Alright, so this thing just finished up. Let's crack the lid. Look at that. I think all the grime and stuff's off there. There's a little bit of a sub layer. Let's go ahead and add some of the regular stuff to that. Let's see what it does. Give it one more try here. While it's doing that, I am going ahead and cleaning these up. About ready to fire up the air compressor and start blowing air through the carburetor. Alright, so I've ran this thing through a few cycles, and I think it's at the point now where it's gotten all the grime off that it can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a soft bristle and pull parts off and just kind of go over them here. Get any remaining grime off of them. Let's see. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we'll go ahead and do this. Get parts tray. We'll just go item by item, piece by piece. Sometimes you gotta get in there and okay, yeah, so I'm just gonna do that to every part, and we'll go ahead and reload it with new parts. Alright, so this is completed again. Let's go pop the cover and see what's up. Wow, look at that. Woo-wee. So yeah, that is definitely a chemical reaction to rust. Yeah, things looking really good. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and let that run one more cycle. And while that's doing that, I've been working on the carburetor. Main pieces here. Got out the compressor, blew out all the orifices and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and sand down the mating surfaces for the gasket. And I think we're real close to going ahead and cutting a new gasket. Round 2. Yeah, look at that. Let's go ahead and pull the basket. Thinking I'm going to go ahead and maybe clean these parts a little bit and then clean that and put them back in for one final time. Alright, so it's been a couple minutes here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Yeah, so fresh batch. You can see it definitely pulled all the rust off of the metal. So we'll go ahead and get those out of there and get them cleaned up and dried off. That way they don't rust anymore. I went ahead and got the surfaces cleaned up on the carburetor. Our next step is to build a gasket. Alright, so there's a few different ways to do this. One thing I do is I like to do it on the computer, get my rough template going. So this is just something that I pulled off the internet, resized it a little bit, kind of got it relatively close to where we're at. What I'm going to do is I am going to take a blank piece of paper, I'm going to lay this flat on there, I'm going to have to cut a hole out to where the fits even. We're going to get the outer dimensions, and we're just going to trace the outer. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to resize it. I'm going to put it on my program, so that's the background, and then this will be an overlay, and then I can do all the measurements and stuff off that, and then we should have a pretty good template. And I usually do this so I can save it off. That way if down the road I have to take the carburetor off, it is so much easier to build a gasket the next time, or someone may need a template and I'll have it out already for them. They just print it off, and then you can cut it out, trace it right to your gasket material, and voila, boom, done. So let me go ahead and get set up and we'll do that. Alright, so you get an idea as to what I was talking about. So I just had some scrap pieces with a little notch out of it already. So I just kind of laid it on there and then put the carburetor base on there. So that's our rough template. I'm going to flatbed scanner. I'm going to go ahead and scan this in, and then it's going to pretty much maintain its aspect ratio. and I should be able to take that other document there and just lay it right across the top of it and get to the rough size. Let's go ahead and give this a try. Alright, give you kind of the technical specifications of what I did here. So, as you saw, I traced it out. What I did is I scanned this piece of paper scanned the piece of paper into my flatbed scanner. I then used Publisher, Microsoft Publisher, and I resized it to fill the entire page. Then, this is that picture I found on the internet of a gasket, and what I did is I set that on top, and I told it to make the background transparent. And then I was able to sit there and rotate it and fit it as best as I can. And you can see it's off just a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and punch this and cut it out. And then we'll see how far off we are and if we need to make some adjustments. Alright, so using my punch set, I just went ahead and punched out the little holes there. And then using a blade just kind of got it. And it's not perfect. But this is just a mock-up, so I'm going to go ahead and remove all the punch outs and stuff, and then we'll see how close of a gasket we have. Alright, so we got it all punched out. Shall we take a look and see how close we are? I don't expect it to be perfect. Let's see here. It's not too terribly bad. Yeah, all these holes down here are lining up good. The top ones are off just a little bit, and the gasket is wide. But that is something I can definitely work with. Let's see what it looks like on the other one. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I like that. So it's off just a hair. Just a little wide down there. That all there's lining up good. Man, I really can't complain. So I'm going to probably go ahead and use this as my template, and I can adjust what I need to. Not bad overall. So working with gasket material, it's always best to try to start in the corner and get as much material as possible. This just barely fits on there, but it's okay because I know that there's extra on each side. We'd be trimming it down anyways. So I'm just going to go ahead and trace this out, and then probably go ahead and cut the middle part out first. Then we can put the carburetor on it and fine tune where the holes need to really be. So what we're going to do. Alright, so we're going to get you caught up with what I did. So obviously I got the center pulled out, smashed this together, was able to get an outer trace of where our gasket should be, and then I also used a awl to kind of get an idea as to where the holes should be. I'm not going to quite do those just yet. I'm going to go ahead and get this cut out and then piece it together, and I should be able to do at least one bolt at a time. Alright, and there is our gasket. So I'm going to go ahead and put the carburetor back together with the gasket in there, and then fine tune where the holes need to be, and then we'll go ahead and get those punched. So I went ahead and got one hole through, and I used a screw to hold it all together. And then what I do is just use an awl and go through and punch through all the way on the remaining holes. So I've got good starts on all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart, punch those, and we should be ready to fine tune it. Alright guys, and there is our rough gasket. So we are good to go there. Happy with that. Now, I can go ahead and put the carburetor back together, but I'm going to cheat once more. Now that I know that this gasket's lining up and fits right, guess what? I'm going to take this and lay this on my scanner. That way I can save it as a document. Next time I need to do this, guess what? Trace out. So that is one way to do it. Now everybody is probably going to say, the hammer, and you can awl it all out, pound on the outside of the edge of the gasket and get to go, and that is one way to do it. I just wanted to show an alternative way to do this. So hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off here. We'll get this reassembled. If you like this, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Let others know. I'd like to go ahead and build this channel up. Have a great day.